COVID-19 list. The Washington football team signing quarterback Garrett, Gilbert, and what I think about him and if I think he will indeed start. And then also the good news that Montez Sweat is expected to be activated from the reserve list before Tuesday's game against the Philadelphia Eagles. I'll talk about all that and more. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content. Hit that like button and turn on those notifications so you never miss a video. And also go ahead and check out my Twitter and let me know what you guys think right now in the comments section below. Who will start this game against the Eagles? Let's get right into the video. Okay, so obviously this is not good news at all that Washington quarterback Taylor Heinicke is being placed on the COVID reserve list, so he will likely be out for this game. I know they, tweaked the protocols a little bit so, you don't have to get consecutive negative tests, in 2 separate days, and now it can just be, in the same day, but that doesn't help too much because it's hard to get rid of it in a few, 2-3 days. But, moving the game back to Tuesday will help a little bit, but also the protocols that, they might be switching up the protocols for, on Monday. There's been a lot of reports going out there that they might switch, the protocol up. I talked about this in my video, so make sure you guys go ahead and check that out. But there might be some protocols allowing, asymptomatic players to play, and if that's the case, then maybe Taylor Heinicke will end up playing for Washington as long as he does not have symptoms. The other bad news is Kyle Allen, our backup quarterback, who's a really good backup in this league, in my opinion. He's a good backup to have because he knows the system and he's solid. Nothing flashy, but he is solid, and he's also on the reserve list, and that's just unfortunate. Who knows? Maybe Kyle Shermer also will get it. But, Washington did sign former Dallas Cowboys quarterback Garrett Gilbert, and he is in line to start if those 2 other guys don't end up, clearing protocols. Kind of similar to the Taylor Heinicke situation last year. We had Steven Montez on the roster for the whole year, and, we needed a quarterback. We signed Taylor Heinicke to the practice squad, and, I think it was a practice squad, and Taylor Heinicke ended up starting over, ended up coming in that Panthers game over Steven Montez, who was there all year. So a very similar situation here. And, Garrett Gilbert is not that bad. I, watched some of the highlights, and I think I'll leave this in the description, but just from the highlights, he looked pretty solid out there against the Steelers last year. And one thing also I forgot to mention, he is a former Carolina Panther, and I know people are going to roll their eyes, but I mean, that's really smart. You want to bring in a quarterback who knows your system, at least to an extent. He's obviously not going to know it very well because I think he was only there for a year, but he did play for a little bit there. I think he, came in for Kyle Allen one game, so he knows the system a little bit, and that is good. You don't want to bring in a guy that doesn't know the system at all because that puts you at a disadvantage. Taylor Heinicke last year obviously did know the system, and in that game, 21 for 38, 243 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and had 3 rushes for 28 yards. Nothing amazing, but that was against the best defense in the NFL at that point last year, and he played pretty solid. And he's not super mobile, but he can get out of the pocket, make some throws on the run. I noticed that in the in those highlights, and if you need him to, he can get you 10-15 yards on the ground. Not super quick, but he is pretty mobile in the pocket, able to manipulate a little bit. And from what I saw, he was solid. His accuracy was decent, and he was able to make a decent amount of throws. Obviously, he had some good weapons there, but still, nonetheless, I think it was impressive for a third stringer I think it was fourth stringer actually, because Ben DiNucci was over him. I think it was impressive for him to do what he did against the Steelers, and they were 2-6 at the time, the Cowboys, and they almost beat the undefeated at that time Pittsburgh Steelers. So obviously he's not an upgrade over Taylor Heinicke. He's very likely not an upgrade over Kyle Allen. But, I think it was one of the better options just because, he knows the system, at least a little bit he knows the system, and, he's all right. We'll see. I was, reading some comments. The Cowboys fans really loved him last year. So let's see if that can translate, because he definitely has a chance to start this week against the Eagles if Heinicke and Kyle Allen, don't clear those protocols. But again, the protocols might be changed, which makes it very easy for both of those guys to, clear, because Ron Rivera did say, I believe today on the Kevin Sheehan show, that about 80% of the guys they have on the reserve list are asymptomatic. So if that does end up being the protocol, where if you're vaccinated and you're asymptomatic, you can end up playing, then most of Washington's players are going to be able to play. So that will be good news. And yeah, that's the Taylor Heinicke kind of, Garrett Gilbert update. Terrible replacement. I'll be interested to see what he can do. Just real quick, if you guys were interested, these are the teams that he played for. He was on the Patriots practice squad, I believe. Maybe he was on the active roster. The Cowboys, obviously, last year. The Browns, and the Panthers for 2 years. So he was in the system for 2 years, not when Scott Turner was the offensive coordinator, for a brief period of time. But, he knows a little bit of the system because, Norv Turner and Scott Turner's systems are a little similar. So that's good there. And then played for the Browns in 5 games, but only had 3 attempts, no completions. And then 21 for 38 last year with a touchdown and a pick, and almost a win over the undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers. So now finally talk about some, solid good news for the Washington football team. So Washington is expected to activate Montez Sweat from the COVID list and IR from his jaw injury before Tuesday's game against Philly. He hasn't practiced or played since, Halloween. That's a long time. So conditioning could be an issue, but it's going to be a huge boost for the Washington football team's defense, and I expect more guys to be back. I said this in my video that I literally posted like 40 minutes ago, but James Smith-Williams, expect him to be back. I think he was placed on the list on Saturday, so he should be back. And then also we might get Casey Twill back, and then Jonathan Allen, he could also be back. And all this also, depends on the protocols, because if they do get changed, then even more and more players will come back, which will be good for Washington to at least keep it a somewhat competitive game against Philly. But having an edge rusher, someone like Montez Sweat, adding him back to the defense is going to be absolutely huge for us, because, without him, it was going to be Shakatoni, and I don't know who else, Ratumi or Rumi, whatever his name is, because Daniel Wise is on the reserve list as well. So we really didn't have anyone. So, getting Montez Sweat back is crucial and will definitely help us out, get, Jalen Hurts down. I think Montez Sweat had a sack against the Eagles in the final game of the season, or actually no, he might have had one, but I know for sure one was called back because of a Cole Holcomb penalty, but it was still a nice play nonetheless. I'm excited to see Montez Sweat back. Let's hope he can ball out, and let's hope also that other players are going to start coming back. I want to hear, hopefully tomorrow we get, we're probably going to get another player added to the list. But let's hope we can get a couple off of it tomorrow, and every day until the game, let's hope we can get even more and more until these protocols are hopefully changed. So yeah, at least some good news there. Talked about Garrett Gilbert a little bit again, talked about it earlier, but I want to hear from you guys. Who do you think will end up starting in this game? So that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I will continue to do these updates tomorrow. Likely I will have a preview video, and then Sunday or Monday I will have my pregame or my preview stream. So thanks for watching. Hit that like button and turn on those notifications. Subscribe if you